Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
To you, YouTube, because the man has just entered the building. What is going on, guys? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And I'm here to give you a pre-recorded review of this past Friday night's episode of Friday Night Smack It Down. Took place again this past Friday, April 19th. 2024. And in the words of Mick Foley, this isn't a botch, but this show took place right here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He said it when they were in Cleveland, but you know. But yes, the show was here this past Friday in Pittsburgh. I was in attendance live. I went with Daniel Gaiza and Penta L. Miller, as he's referred to here on YouTube, when he is a guest on my channel. And I had a great time. I had a really great time. Other than the fact that before we went, we did go to Permane Brothers to get some delicious food they have there. Food was good, but we had a long wait. We did wait probably about 45 minutes once we ordered our food. But it still turned out good. We ate, got out of there. We were a little rushed, but we got out of there, got down there, had fun. So, shake that off. No big deal. I thought it was a fun time. I had a really good time at this episode of SmackDown as we're continuing on in this new era. And I also thought that this week's past Friday's show was a very fun show. I had a great time. I pretty much liked just about everything on the show. Just one little cool down match. That thing with Carlito and Santos was, wee bit kind of like just there, it felt like. But everything else, especially, there's two things that stood out the most to me from this episode of SmackDown. The first was Nick Aldis. I don't know if they really are transitioning into this, new era, getting more edgier. Nick Aldis was a little bit more... What's the word I'm looking here for? On this episode of SmackDown, he seemed like he was a lot more viciously of a boss. He was a lot more enforcing. And I was like, I feel like it's not too often we've seen this from different general managers. And also, what I'm really liking is what's going on with Solo Sikoa right now. This whole thing where he's kind of like, now that Roman's not around, now that the title's gone, he's not playing by anybody else's rules anymore but his. And I feel like he's taken it to a whole other level. And also, of course, we did get the new tag titles for SmackDown, which, of course, that graphic down at the bottom left will need to be updated. And we'll roll from there. But yeah, let's talk about the show. Again, it was fun. Now, there's two other things I want to briefly address first. First off, I did not get to go to a meet and greet they had up here on Friday afternoon because I had to work, of course. But if I would have gone, I think it was at a Giant Eagle in Shaler Township, I think it was, because Penta L. Miller went. And he got to meet everyone's favorite L.A. Knight. Yeah! Which, of course, would have been cool to meet him for sure. But I had to work, but maybe another time I'll get the shot. The other thing is there were releases that were announced during SmackDown on Friday. I will try to make a brief video. I have a couple other things got to take care of, but again, just be patient with me, guys. Again, April's just been a very busy and emotional month for me, but everything's good. We got our fence up. We got, just take care of a couple of little things. But, and just a few other things as well that's just going on right now that may or may not find out down the line. But everything's good in the hood with the Mansburg. I don't know what you want to call it. But, so I am going to try to get some stuff caught up this week. But I will do a very brief video on those releases. Really not much to say about them, to be honest. It's just people that really just kind of didn't have much direction creatively, and it's just best that they, that they are given opportunities elsewhere, pretty much. But I'll make a brief video about those. But let's get in and talk about SmackDown now. So the show opened up with the number one contenders match for Cody Rhodes' undisputed WWE Championship, which I believe is the official title now of the belt, instead of the Universal title. AJ Styles versus everybody's favorite megastar, L.A. Knight. Yeah! I've said a lot lately. And I thought it was a good match. They had I would probably give the edge a little bit more to their WrestleMania match, but I thought it was a good match. AJ Styles, though, did get the victory, as I kind of felt they would go, but they did protect LA Knight, because AJ won after he raked LA Knight in the eye, and he hit the phenomenal forearm. And he's going to take on Cody Rhodes at Backlash. Had they ever fought when Cody was briefly in TNA, or Impact, whichever we want to call it? Wait, no, it could have been, because, no, they definitely did, because Cody was not in. Cody left in 2016 when AJ came. What am I thinking? So that will be a very fresh match, very good match. Am I a little bothered by the fact that AJ got this opportunity after he was losing a tad? But I'm not gonna lose much sleep over it. AJ Styles is still phenomenal. I just don't like the fact that he kind of feels like a placeholder a little bit, being like kind of like Cody's like first opponent to put him over as champion. But I think it could be a very, very good match for sure. That's probably your main event of Backlash. Then we have Solo Sikoa wearing a suit, and he introduces Paul Heyman to the newest member of the Bloodline, Tama Tonga. And of course they are, then he asks, but he introduces Tama Tonga as his MFT. Whatever that means, we do not know yet. But then he asks Paul Heyman if Kevin Owens is around. And if not, to lead him to him. And I'm like, why is Solo Sikoa targeting Kevin Owens? We'll find out, of course, in a little bit. But first, we then had Nick Aldis in the ring. And he introduces Triple H, who came out to another thunderous ovation in Pittsburgh. Hunter welcomes us to the show. Notes the sellout, 14,994, just 6 shy of 15,000. I was one of those 15,000, by the way. Talks about how great Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce are doing as general managers. He wants to see the brands represent in a way that benefits them. And then he asks for the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, A-Town Down Under, to come out. Which, I keep getting to mention this. They changed Austin Theory's song up a little bit. I don't like it. I prefer the other one. A little more upbeat, in my opinion. Just saying. But Austin Theory and Grayson Waller come out. And says they gave Awesome Truth the second place tag belts. And now they're going to give the real champs their new belts. And then Austin Theory makes fun of Truth calling Triple H a magician. And Hunter congratulates them on their win, and then unveils the new WWE Tag Team Championship belts, which I really like them. I mean, again, I like the World Tag Title belts, don't get me wrong. I really like these WWE tag titles, though, because to me, they kind of look a little old school. Like one of the older designs, and it's unique. So I'm not saying that the World Tag titles just... They're good, but they kind of feel like a slight modified version of the World Heavyweight title. But they're still unique. I like them, but I love these tag titles. So, of course, they unveiled them. Grayson then fakes Hunter out and shakes Austin Theory's hand instead, leaving Triple H hanging. But then Nick Aldis gets in their face and says, I'll make you guys A-Town clown under and disappear permanently if you try to pull that again. Or like, whoa, like threatening a firing. I never really had much of a story like that much in a while. It's been a while, but anyways, he then says we're about to have a number one contendership match and in the Fatal 4-Way, and the winner will they'll be the first to challenge them for their WWE Tag Team Championships. And before we got to that match, we had a backstage segment with Naomi, who was getting ready for her main event title shot against Bayley. And Naomi says she's not going to let her friendship get in the way of opportunity, and she's going to make the most of it. Last week she made Tiffany time feel the glow, and she's keeping that energy rolling and going to walk into the draft as champion, which the draft, of course, begins this coming Friday night on SmackDown. I am very excited, and I will make sure to do live reviews of the draft shows. Back from commercial. I'm sorry. We then had the tag title match. Number one contender match. The authors of Pain, Akam and Rezar, Legado del Fantasmas, Angel Garza, and Humberto Carrillo. New Catch Republics, Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, and the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. The match was fun, as I expected. Favorite spot was definitely whenever there was that triple combination of Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne doing moonsaults off the top ropes, and Montez Ford doing that dive he does going over the top of the ring post in the corner, all at the same time. That was sick. And several other big moves, of course, as well. But that was definitely my favorite out of all of them. Gave them a lot of time too. Eventually, though, the Street Profits won with their sky-high neckbreaker combination on Angel Garza. And they'll be facing A-Town Down Under. I'm sniffing the possibility they may have the Street Profits win. I don't think Austin Theory and Grayson Waller are going to be long-term tag champs. That's just my opinion. But I could be wrong, but we will see. I'm probably going to pick them to win if they do have the match at Backlash, though. We got a recap of Rhea Ripley vacating her women's title. And I am recording this as Raw is going on, but apparently tonight on Raw, there is going to be a battle royale to determine the new women's world champion. Don't know how I feel about a battle royale for a title, especially for the main event title for the women's division. A number one contendership battle royale, yes, but for a vacated title, I don't know about that. But we'll see how that goes down. Bayley's being interviewed. She says seeing Rhea vacate her title made her appreciate her more. That we all know with the draft coming up, things are bound to change. But she's going to hold on to her title. Then we have Solo Sikoa backstage with Paul Heyman. Heyman, though, is nervous and uncomfortable because he was unable to find Kevin Owens. Again, why Solo wanted to target Kevin? Who knows? But Solo walks out, and then Paul follows him and lectures to him about unsurpassing the tribal chief's decisions. And Solo cuts him off and asks him, "Are you done yet?" And Heyman just backs down, and he asks if Tonga is coming. But Solo just brandishes the taped thumb at Paul Heyman, basically kind of threatening him. And then they make it right out to the ring. It's just Solo and Heyman. Paul explains the backstage politics within the bloodline right now. But before he can get out of first gear, though, Solo just rips the mic from him. And he gets overwhelmed in boos as he tries to speak. And I find it interesting as he kept going on talking, the fans were chanting, "We want Roman." fans were chanting, "We want Roman," which made me wonder, is this setting up for a match with Roman and Solo? Which, to be honest, it is a dream match of mine. But my only thing is, though, I don't think it should be Roman's first match back. Because if they, in fact, because I feel like if Roman Reigns and The Rock next year is going to happen, I feel like with this storyline they're doing right now with the Bloodline, with Solo Sikoa kind of like taking advantage of having more power, but Paul Heyman feels conflicted as, you know, members like the the tribal heir, as you call it, and the tribal chief aren't really on the same page right now. Solo's obviously going into more business for himself and tired of doing things, you know, how he's told by his tribal chief and doing things how he believes it. I just feel like the build to Roman Reigns and The Rock, I feel like the whole idea is Roman still needs to be a heel when he comes back. But I also think if you're going to make him a face, which, if they eventually do Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa, I think that's what's going to happen. I feel like it's going to be kind of like a slow face turn. Like they're shedding that evil skin off of Roman, if you know what I mean. So I don't think they should have Roman just come back and be a babyface when the time comes. I think they should have him like still be a heel, but like show that the heel side of him is starting to wear off a little bit over time. And then, honestly, they could culminate his full-on face turn at WrestleMania next year. Maybe. But at some point, you're going to have to do Roman and Solo. Absolutely, yes. That's a match I want to see. But yeah, I just had to mention that because we got a "We Want Roman" chant in Pittsburgh. But anyways, Solo gets overwhelmed and says last week he had to lose a brother in order to find a new one. His MFT, whatever that stands for, we don't know yet, Tama Tonga. As he says this, though, we see Kevin Owens get thrown out onto the stage. And he was bleeding and wearing the crimson mask. And I was like, was that an accident, or are they legitimately having Kevin Owens bleed? Because he was busted open pretty bad. And Tama Tonga comes out and kicks him down the ramp, and then Owens tried to fight out of it, but he just got overwhelmed and got double teamed by Solo and Tama Tonga, which they're already making me feel like Tama Tonga is vicious, and it's making Solo even more dangerous. I saw this, and I'm like, what the hell is happening here? But I loved it. I'm like, if we're going to like take things up another level, make the product more edgier, like stuff like this has to happen. Where, like, again, you got Nick Aldis, who was stepping in, which after this segment, we show the reason why Kevin Owens was busted open is because it looked like the Bloodline, Solo and Tama Tonga, 1-2, T-boned Kevin Owens' rental car. And Nick Aldis addressed Paul Heyman, says on his show, they sell things in the ring. Next week it's a draft. Lots of eyeballs, and he won't tolerate this kind of behavior. And next week it's up to him to make sure the Bloodline understands. Losing isn't the only thing that has consequences. And he slaps Heyman on the chest, having faith he'll make things straight. But obviously, Heyman feels conflicted. And I said, I like the fact that, you know, Nick Aldis is being a boss. Like, he's, like, addressing things. He's, like, threatening to fire people. Like, I feel like we haven't seen this side from a GM in a while. And I loved it. Like I said, I'm not saying we have to have blood every single week, but, like, something edgier like this. I'm like, if this is what we're transitioning to, I love it. And again, not just that, but it makes Solo look more dangerous than Roman ever was. The fact that you have Paul Heyman conflicted also, I think is something else as well. Like, this made the bloodline get some momentum again. I mean, whatever going to happen with Jimmy, who knows? I feel, though, this is setting up for some sort of a tag match, though, at Backlash. I wouldn't do Kevin Owens and Jimmy Uso. Like I said, I just feel like Jimmy Uso may be damaged goods right now. I think the only way he can kind of, like, revive himself is some type of story eventually having him reunite with Jade. I think because of the history, I think if they do a tag match, because Kevin Owens and Solo Sikoa one-on-one, not saying I'm not interested in it, but we saw it how many times on SmackDown. I'm thinking also, especially if you want to introduce Tonga and get him on pay-per-view as well, which, by the way, also I do apologize. I thought Tonga was Jacob Fatu. He is not Jacob Fatu, actually. I guess he's still coming, I guess. And he could very well be in Solo's new bloodline. But yeah, I think because of the history, I can see him doing a tag match at Backlash with Solo Sikoa and Tonga taking on Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. My only thing is, though, is why is Kevin Owens kind of being in these, like, starting feud positions as well? Like, when's Kevin Owens going to get his flowers? Get his, singles title win at WrestleMania. I mean, yes, he did have one at WrestleMania 33, but he was a heel. But, I don't know. It's like, when's he going to get his big moment at Mania like that? As a single star. And he's still kind of being booked in these, like, okay, he's like a placeholder feud or something. You know what I mean? It's like, he deserves some gold at some point. Singles gold again. I keep saying it because, remember, he won the tag titles with Sammy last year. But, whatever. So, there's that. But like I said, probably my favorite stuff in the show for sure. And I'm very interested to see where this goes, of course, for Solo Sikoa. Santos Escobar then beat Carlito. The match was what it was. I don't know. To me, it feels like after the tag match at Mania, it's like this feels kind of over with. So why are we still doing this? But unless it's just till the draft happens, whatever. And it still teases of the most likely breakup of heel turn of Carlito turning on Rey Mysterio. Because we'll see it happening a mile away. Because everybody turns on Rey. But yeah, I didn't really care too much for this match. But I think when Electro Lopez and Zelina Vega fought, it distracted Carlito. And it led to Santos Escobar taking advantage of hitting the Phantom Driver getting the win. We then have Caleb Braxton up in a skybox interviewing Damage Control. Dakota Kai's upset about Io getting called a former champion and reminds everyone that Damage Control was the most dominant force in WWE. The Kabuki Warriors are still tag champs, and that's not going to change. And then Jade, Cargill, and Bianca Belair arrived in the skybox, basically leading to some bickering and a stare down. So I'm guessing it looks like Bianca and Jade are probably going to dethrone the Kabuki Warriors in the tag titles. Okay. We also get footage of Cody Rhodes in London earlier today saying we're in an undiscovered country now and he's keeping his promises to bring the title all around the world. Which, this part got a little weird because he pre-recorded this earlier today. He already apparently knew that AJ Styles won the match, which was strange. He says, we got two Georgia boys ducking it out in the heart of France. And he gives AJ's bona fides before saying he looks forward to their match. And I think it'll be a good match, too, at Backlash. Bayley and Naomi face each other in their women's title match in the main event. I think Bayley needs new graphics for that new theme song. I don't know. I've kind of grown old of it. The new theme song is not bad. They added kind of like an Egyptian touch to it because apparently, again, Pam Martinez is Egyptian. But I don't know. I feel like, they should at least change the graphic or something like that. Just the bay and the lead at the bottom. I don't know. It just looks weird. Just put her on one line. I don't know. Me being picky, but we have that. Match was good. So good back and forth. The match ended, though, with Tiffany Stratton running in and hammering Bayley with an elbow, causing a DQ. And she basically took them out 2-on-1. And Io Sky was watching from above. So I'm assuming a fatal 4-way at Backlash. Fine. That should be a solid match. Bayley and Io and Naomi and Tiffany Stratton, fine by me. Bayley will probably retain the match, I would say. I don't think she'll be a super duper long-term champion, but I don't think she would drop the title in that match. But that's basically the show. That's all she wrote. That's SmackDown, guys. Again, I gave it a B. Everything was, good, solid to good. Again, that Bloodline stuff, though, definitely is, again, back to being some of the best stuff on television for sure. And again, I thought it was a great show, and a great show I got to attend as well. When they come back to Pittsburgh, I don't know, but hopefully I'll be going again when it happens. But guys, that does it. That is my thoughts for this week's episode of SmackDown. I give the show, again, a B. I still have to also upload, you'll see those before these, my Indy Hartwell and Chad Gable turn alerts. I'm going to try tonight to do some very last minute, kind of cheap looking graphics for Backlash, my printed match card for Backlash. Again, I just haven't had the time to make one, but I want to at least get one out there. So it's going to be kind of simpler and cheap, not really as, good as the others would be. But it is what it is. It'll get done. So yeah, that's my thoughts, guys. What are your guys' thoughts on this week's episode of SmackDown? Leave your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. Be sure also, as always, to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content to come on my channel. And follow me on Twitter as well at the Club of the Man 93. You may also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993. And until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you all later. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!